When people imagine the fall of Rome, they usually picture the same scenes: barbarians breaking through the gates, armies scattering, legions torn apart, emperors poisoned in their palaces. But the downfall of empires is not caused solely by external attacks. The real collapse begins from within, and more often than not, the main reason for that collapse is money. Rome didn't fall merely because of wars or corruption. It fell because it devalued its own currency. And the lessons from that story still hold true today, because even now there are modern economies that think money is our toy. We can do whatever we want with it. For centuries, Rome's economy relied on the denarius, a coin made almost entirely of silver. It was first minted in 211 BC and quickly became a trusted currency both inside and outside the empire. Soldiers were paid with it, merchants traded with it, and citizens saved their wealth in it. The denarius wasn't just a coin, it was the tangible symbol of trust in Rome. If there was faith in Rome, there was faith in the denarius. But keeping an empire alive was no easy task. The army demanded pay, and the people expected services: roads, aqueducts, public works. Constant warfare, however, was draining Rome's treasury. By the 2nd century, Rome was being squeezed from all sides: Germanic tribes to the north, Parthians to the east, and internal unrest eroding tax revenues. So the emperors turned to a classic trick: reducing the silver content in the currency. Instead of burdening the people with more taxes, they began hollowing out the denarius itself. The numbers make it clear. Under Augustus, the denarius was about 95% silver. By Caracalla's time, it had fallen to 50%, and under Gallienus, it dropped below 5%. The once pure silver coin had become little more than bronze with a silver coating. The people noticed immediately, and the result was inevitable inflation. Once money was no longer tied to real value, prices soared. A bushel of wheat that once cost 1 denarius suddenly cost 10. Everyday life collapsed. Soldiers demanded higher pay just to survive. Merchants stopped accepting denarii altogether, preferring barter or gold. As trust in money vanished, people abandoned it, returning to direct exchange. And as trust in the emperors faded, even more worthless coins were minted. Thus began a vicious cycle that no one could stop. This cycle reached its peak during the crisis of the 3rd century, 235 to 284 AD. Rome plunged into chaos: plagues, civil wars, invasions. Emperors rose and fell within months. But the deeper problem was economic. The system had collapsed. Taxes were demanded in worthless currency. Farmers, unable to pay, abandoned their lands. Trade ground to a halt. The state tried to freeze prices, but that failed too. Emperor Diocletian, declaring enough, issued his famous edict on maximum prices. But if money itself has no value, fixing prices on paper means nothing. The black market flourished and formal trade stopped altogether. People soon realized that no decree could make a worthless currency valuable again. Eventually, Rome abandoned the denarius entirely. Constantine introduced the gold solidus, which brought stability to Byzantium for centuries. But for the Western Empire, it was already too late. The heart of its economy, the denarius, had rotted from within. Military funding collapsed. Trade disintegrated. Trust evaporated. Rome didn't fall in a single dramatic event. It decayed slowly, inevitably, over time. If you debase your money, you debase your empire, and you lose your people. The Romans learned painfully that a devalued currency and an untrustworthy ruler can deceive no one. Today, many governments repeat the same mistakes: printing more money, manipulating interest rates, inflating away their debts. And the outcome is always the same. The people lose, wealth erodes, trust disappears. History kept repeating itself after Rome. Every major inflation followed the same pattern. States devalued money to cover expenses. The wealthy preserved their capital. The common people suffered. Rome's crisis remains the oldest and clearest example of this cycle. In the 20th century, Weimar Germany stepped onto the same stage. After World War I, the state printed money to pay reparations. The result? Hyperinflation in 1923. The price of bread rose from 1 mark to 200 marks within a few years. Just like in Rome, those who held goods instead of currency grew stronger, while ordinary savers were wiped out. That economic ruin paved the way for Hitler's rise to power. In the 2000s, Zimbabwe made the same mistake. As the government printed more money, prices doubled day after day. By 2008, annual inflation reached unimaginable levels. Eventually, the nation's currency was completely abandoned. And again, the same lesson: you cannot fool money. This isn't limited to crisis-stricken countries. Even today's advanced economies follow Rome's path. In 1971, the US dollar was detached from gold, becoming a currency backed solely by trust. Since then, debt has soared, money supply has exploded, and inflation, though often hidden, has always been there. The money looks the same, but its purchasing power has quietly vanished. Governments play their favorite trick. They present inflation as growth, debt as investment, and wage increases despite falling living standards as rising prosperity. They point to the stock market's rise as proof of national wealth, just as Rome's emperors once pretended that nothing was wrong. What makes today even more dangerous is that the entire world now shares the same monetary system. So the next great collapse triggered by currency debasement would not affect just one nation, but the entire globe. The lessons from this history are clear. Inflation is a silent form of taxation. Paper money is temporary, but the value created by land, skills, and production endures. Believing stability will last forever is one of humanity's greatest mistakes. History has proven this time and again. The fall of Rome teaches us this: where there is no trust, there is no system. When money loses its value, all order in life breaks down. The final blow may come from outside, but empires always destroy themselves from within. And the simple truth is this: history does not repeat itself exactly, but if you fail to learn from it, it will destroy you. Rome's monetary crisis shows how power corrupts money, and sadly, that weakness still lives among us today.